President Donald Trump visiting Southeast North Carolina yesterday, pledging federal government help for the victims of Hurricane Florence.
Congressman David Rouzer was along with the president in the New Bern community on Wednesday, and he's now in our studio. Congressman, give us a sense of what you felt yesterday with the president in town. He's pledged 100% backing in southeastern North Carolina.
Well, and that's absolutely true, and he was quite moved by what he saw, and he was really moved by the great community spirit and volunteerism that he witnessed yesterday. In fact, he mentioned that to me 3 times in our car ride as we were traveling through some of the affected areas and then back to Marine One. But he is committed. Brock Long, his administrator for FEMA, I was with him for a couple days as well. Of course, he's a native North Carolinian. Right. Everybody may not be aware of that, but he is very, very dedicated, and they are working very hard. Mike Sprayberry, I have been with him and at the Emergency Operations Center up in Raleigh as all this has been developing, and getting texts and phone calls from everywhere. And I can tell you, every North Carolinian should be really, really proud of all the work being done at the local level and at the state level. And of course, the federal government's role is to make sure they have the resources that they need. And the president pledged that yesterday, and there's absolutely no doubt that pledge is going to be fulfilled.
Well, Congressman, you have seen a lot of the area affected by Florence. You were with the president yesterday. You're here today. You've been all over. What would you describe as the worst?
It's all bad, unfortunately. Significant flooding everywhere. In fact, Duplin, when I flew over it with the Coast Guard just the other day, while we were transporting doctors and nurses from RDU that were stranded there and trying to get back to New Hanover Regional Hospital, took the opportunity on the flight back to get a good bird's eye view of a lot of the damage. And Duplin County literally looked like a lake with a few islands interspersed, especially around Wallace and Chicopin and some of those areas. You would not believe the amount of flooding inland in all different areas throughout eastern North Carolina. And of course, Brunswick County is being hit really hard. You've got the Cape Fear River that's going to crest on Saturday morning. If it doesn't crest late Friday night, 421 is now flooded because that water is rising as a result. So the flooding aspect of this is what has been so devastating. But we're going to get through it. It's going to require a lot of patience and a lot of work and a lot of community effort, but we're going to do it. And all the emergency personnel, first responders, the volunteers that have come in for the rescue, search and rescue missions, they have saved thousands of lives. Right. And they're really unsung heroes, and so I really want to commend them for all their great work. And but we'll get through this. A lot of work, and it's going to require a lot of patience.
A lot of patience.
What do you want to do with FEMA to make sure that the process of people getting the help they need is expedited? There are some people still recovering from Matthew almost 2 years ago. So we want to expedite that process to get them the help they need. What can you do there?
Well, we have a website, rouzer.house.gov, where folks can go. There's a hurricane landing page there where folks can apply for assistance. And of course, our offices are open, our DC office in particular, where folks can call and we can help direct them. I know our entire staff, we field calls all the time. I do myself, and we direct them to the appropriate folks with emergency operations center there in Raleigh. And I just have to say that emergency management in North Carolina and the governor's team, they're doing a superior job. Mike Sprayberry is just incredible, and his team. It's really amazing to watch them work and all the collaboration that they're doing. So Brock Long is committed. He's the executive director or director for FEMA, and he is committed to making sure that folks have the housing that they need. And then HUD comes into play there. And one of the things we're really going to be working on is that transitional housing where you go from FEMA and then HUD has jurisdiction, housing and urban development.
Well, I do think it's worth mentioning, we were having a conversation about this. You spent a lot of time with the president yesterday. You spent time with the governor. The three of you all on the same page. After all, Florence didn't come in as a Republican or a Democrat.
That's exactly right. I was with the governor and the president alone in the vehicle as we traveled around, and we had a great conversation talking about the extent of the damage, what needs to be done moving forward. This is a great joint effort of all the local personnel, emergency management, county managers, county commissioners, mayors, everybody is pulling together. The state is doing as good a job as they know how to do. And of course, the role of FEMA and the other federal agencies is to make sure they have the resources that they need so that we can begin to work our way towards recovery. We're not going to recover overnight. This is going to be a long process. Quite frankly, this is a life-changing event for many, many people all throughout southeastern North Carolina. And but they should know that everybody at every level of government is working very, very closely together to make sure that we make the progress we need to make.
Congressman Rouzer, we know that it's been a very exhausting time for you. We appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.